Hey everybody, it's PartyElite, and you might know me from my own YouTube channel where I constantly cover tactical and strategic games with guides, let's plays, and previews. Today I'm partnering up with Paradox Interactive to introduce you to another major aspect of the Lamplighters League, going from infiltration to combat. We'll discuss the importance of takedowns, the value of a good ambush, and ways in which you can use the environment to your advantage. As discussed in the previous video, your agents can all sneak around in real time during the infiltration phases of a mission. This is how missions begin, and it's also the state missions return to between battles. If you're a smooth enough operator, you'll find many opportunities to avoid battle entirely, or at least turn the odds further in your favor. Each of your agents will have access to a special takedown ability determined by their role, but keep in mind that you can only use them a limited number of times in a given mission each, unless you come across a second wind pickup mid-mission that recharges them for a single agent. It's a fine balancing act. Early on in a mission, you might be able to completely avoid a battle or two with the help of these takedowns, and while that can make a significant impact, you might instead have wanted access to the takedowns on the lead up to a later combat scenario where the odds are otherwise stacked heavily against you. Some takedowns are also best used in certain environments to maximize their efficiency. Take, for example, the Saboteur's Shock Mine. It'll draw the attention of nearby guards, triggering once investigated to knock them out without raising the alarm. If the shock mine's dropped into a puddle of water though, not only will it knock out the investigating enemy when it goes off, but it'll also damage and shock any enemies standing in said puddle. This can eliminate a bunch of enemy units completely, or it can soften them up for when the fighting starts. The Sneak has a more contained takedown in the form of their Sucker Punch, which pairs very nicely with their ability to remain invisible in the rear arc of enemy individuals, allowing them to knock an unsuspecting enemy out with one hit, potentially opening up a path that was previously being closely watched. The Bruiser's Slam takedown, meanwhile, is the furthest thing from subtle. The Bruiser goes charging in a straight line, knocking down up to 3 enemies en route and potentially avoiding combat entirely. Occasionally, though, it means simply reducing the number of enemies you're facing off against in the upcoming brawl. At times, takedowns won't completely eliminate the chance of combat. At times, battle will be inevitable. In such occasions, it's a good idea to prepare as best as you can. Different agents are better suited for certain circumstances. You don't want your sniper operating at melee range, for example, nor do you want your melee agents caught out of position far from the action. Separating your agents and sneaking them around to find the sweet spot should be your first move, keeping an eye out for enemy patrols to see exactly where they might end up when the fighting starts. This can work to your advantage in a few ways, either clumping the enemy together to hit them with shock mines, grenades, or special abilities with an area of effect, or waiting until a patrolling enemy is far away, forcing them to spend the first few turns of combat simply trying to close the gap, firing from a distance with terrible accuracy. Use recon mode to assess the situation, set things up to your advantage as best as possible, and try to pull off an ambush to catch the enemy by surprise and grant yourself some free actions. Going loud, as the game calls it, will put you into turn-based tactical combat, but your actions during real-time infiltration will have a huge impact on how things might play out. Whatever the case might be, the transition from infiltration to combat has a lot of moving parts that can help determine the outcome of a fight before it even starts. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and tune in to the next video where you'll be taken through the basics of combat itself. Once the shooting starts, one misstep can cost lives and determine the fate of the world itself.